Hail and good evening. I think of all the topics that I'd probably rant about, I think diet's probably the one I could rant about the easiest. So let's start with that. I had originally intended on scripting all my video content and making it really formal and highly intellectual, all that jazz. But it didn't come off so good. It sounded robotic and it wasn't entertaining at all to listen to. So just gonna kind of go off the cuff. Some of my favorite YouTubers go off the cuff, and shit, man, it's working really well for them. So why not? I obviously try to follow the ketogenic diet because I believe that it's the closest to ancestrally what I feel like my progenitors would have eaten. And not only that, but there is tons of scientific evidence to support that, including the fact that, for example, babies they have a ketogenic diet, not only in the womb, but also when they're being breastfed, because, the breast milk is basically like white blood cells and nutrients from the mother to, for the baby to eat. So there's that. So that's one of the biggest reasons to be keto right there. Also, if you look at, if feudalism back in Europe, that's literally how they kept the peasant class as the underclass, is through nutritional restriction. They had carnivals, which is basically where twice a year or whatever the peasants could actually eat meat, which was considered the food of the the noble class, the upper class, the ruling class, as it were. So that's another really big revelation that I came about and was there is a lot more to diet than you think. You couple that with traditionally diseases like schizophrenia being known as bread madness, and eggplant being known as mad apple, and other various, derogatory associations with plants and vegetables out there that have traditionally been thought to have been consumed throughout history. It just gets you wondering, and you look into it eventually and you discover, yeah, holy shit, it really was a great way of keeping people stupid and weak and having all kinds of degenerative health diseases. It would shorten their lives and, cause them misery. There were, as you know, there were restrictions on hunting, especially in the King's Forest. If you killed anything that moved, typically you could have been punished by death because that was considered to be the king's food. And so there's, even more evidence right there of why you should eat keto. Now, I think the biggest evidence, though, I could offer is honestly all this vegan nonsense. If you look, having a vegetarian or vegan diet for about 40 days has its merit. There was I want to say it's from the Indian subcontinent, but there was this group of religious types, you would call them ascetics, I guess, and they would do a fast as part of their pilgrimage from one area to another, and it took about 40 days. And during those 40 days, they would eat a vegetable-based diet largely, and at the end of it, they would be able to eat meat again, but they would feel hollowed out, kind of, purified by it. And if you look at the research they did on this, yeah, your body essentially will eat whatever fat and stored nutrients it has during those 40 days, down to the point where you are literally emaciated and have used up all your nutritional reserves. So yeah, if you feel like you're packing around way too much, if you feel like you're packing around too many Big Macs and too many other indigestible things that you've tortured yourself with, then yeah, maybe that little 40-day fast would do you some good. But in the long run, what's going to happen is your body needs the saturated animal fat that it would not otherwise be getting, so you're going to be in deep, dark, and ugly shit. And that's essentially the long and short of it. Keto diet all the way for the win. Keep your carbs low, eat tons of fats. That's the other thing is dude, they used to accept, the king used to accept butter as payment. That was a very common form of payment back in feudalism, because, part of what you produced, part of your labor obviously would have to be paid to the king, and that seriously used to be a thing. Plus, if you look back throughout history, people always were cooking with animal fats, and especially butter and lard and derivatives made from the actual fats of animals. They would constantly cook in that, and they would never clean their cast irons. And I mean, I had grandma that had cast irons, probably she never cleaned, and her, back to antiquity, probably had gone back to the time when their first ancestors had ever cooked anything using a cast iron. So we've gotten away from all that, and because of that, we're fucking ourselves over. I think it's a terrible idea. we need to get right. I'd also like to add that I've had a lot of success on keto because it's basically restored my flexibility. It's made me leaner. I've seen gains in my muscle mass. It's not difficult to eat keto. In fact, most of my diet is actually raw food, believe it or not. Yes, I drink my eggs, and I've drank them for years. I've never had a problem with it. Just recently started doing the raw dairy, like raw yogurt, raw cheese, raw milk. It's really hard to find these things. You're going to have to do your own research on that, depending on your geography and your area and your local laws, of course. But, I mean, I 10 out of 10 recommend. I feel like people need to get back to their roots. All these new modern diseases are new and modern because we have gotten away from what's worked historically for so long. So, hope you enjoyed this. Look for more in the future. If you have any personal questions about this, feel free to leave a comment on the video. And share, like, and subscribe. I'll catch you later.